Welcome to Livzenastrology, the channel for updates and reflections, where we are grounded in the stars and elevated by consciousness. Thank you for tuning in. Hi friends and family. I hope you can hear me okay. This is the first time I'm using this microphone, so let me pop on here really quick and make sure that I am live and I can hear myself. Retrograde technology. Okay. I can hear myself. Perfect. Okay, thank you everybody who is watching, who has decided to join or will listen to this podcast style reflection on the energy that we may be experiencing or feeling. And with this retrograde and with this lunar eclipse coming up, there's been some interesting points of reflection that I've just been called to share and to integrate myself as I'm learning more about astrology, about energy, about finance, about money, about my value system, about the history of my ancestors, the history of our nation, I live here in the United States, so the history of the United States. There's just been a lot of information coming out on the social media platforms, right? So we know that Uranus and Aquarius rules technology. Well, right now we know that Uranus, the planet of change, is in Taurus, which is our Earth. So these are just some of the, as I'm putting together the pieces of the puzzle, and it is a puzzle piece, right? Anytime you study astrology or using any divination tools, whether you're using tarot or oracle cards, which are just, to me, images, artistic images that can reflect the essence of the energy that we all could be feeling. That's where these divination tools really, for me, why I find them so valuable. And I integrate them not just with astrology, but I use all the tools in my tool belt as much as what I'm being called to use. So today, moving into this lunar eclipse in Scorpio, Scorpio is all about the alchemist. It rules the 8th house in astrology. So it's sex, death, and taxes. Historically, it's what the house is known for. But it also rules occult practices, which are things that are hidden, right? Things that are maybe mystical, magic. So I wrote down some reflections, and I'm going to kind of go, this is going to be a little bit of a longer video. So I just wanted to share that because there is a lot to touch on and to reflect on and to transmit today. As far as I'm a Scorpio, so I'm really feeling this eclipse energy. And what was coming in really strong is, using the tools of divination, using alchemic tools. So I like to use all the natural wellness tools. I'm actually holding this piece of geode crystal right now as I'm speaking to you because I know it's an amplifier. So that's, another tool that I use in addition to, I just wanted to show the references as I'm speaking on the astrology, also the tarot cards that I'm working with. So this particular artist here, Ciro, Marchetti, he actually uses astrology in his divination decks, and you'll be able to see that when I show you some of the cards that I pulled. And also I really like Alana Fairchild in this particular deck because it speaks to, it's called The Journey of Love, and I'm not sure if you're able to read this backwards or not. But, in my belief system and my understanding and my own gnosis, we are all love. We all emerge, are created from love. We're going to go back to love, which is source, the source field energy, creator, creation, whatever that means for you, the bigger aspect of you, the unknowable, the ineffable aspects of us. That's where eventually we return to. So these are some of the tools that I like to work with upon these reflections. So if you want to take a moment just to, settle down, maybe grab a tool, grab a cup of tea, grab some coffee, whatever it is that you want to do to settle the nervous system and get into this more meditative space, because that's also what Scorpio rules too. It's the underworld, right? The shadow aspects of us, the parts that are not seen every day. the parts that kind of live in the shadows. And so as we are tapping into these aspects of ourselves, which are coming up to be seen with the full moon is like, you imagine like a big spotlight being shown on certain parts of our consciousness. And so with Scorpio, it's the subconscious, it's the unconscious, it's the parts of us that are deeply unknown, that are hidden, that are secretive. We think parts of us that we may have been buried or not been willing to look at. And there's also a reflection point, a book that I like to use in astrology. This is called the Rulership Book. And this is an old book. It's got that old book smell. And it's everything astrology, which every word is associated with a symbol or a planet. And so as I was meditating before this conversation today, I was asking, okay, so look at the Scorpio. What words are some of the words that are associated with Scorpio? And especially for this particular eclipse, what I was told to look at. So let me get my glasses to show you some of the words that were associated with Scorpio at this time, because again, approaching the Scorpion energy, we want to use our tools. We want to use the tools of alchemy and consciousness, because we're getting ready to deep dive into parts of us maybe we've never seen before. And because Mars is tied to this, there's a trine, there's a harmonious or a fluid energy that's allowing us maybe to see parts of the past. So Mars is in Cancer right now. Cancer rules the family, rules our lineages, rules things from the past, our memories, our ancestors, and Mars is our action. And so this is a time that we can really be clearly looking at perhaps the actions of our ancestors and the wounds, maybe the karma that we're still having to pay for our ancestors, because they don't only carry our wounds of what we may be experiencing as far as generational trauma, which is also Pluto and Aquarius right now. Aquarius rules groups, big humanitarian aspects of us. And of course, Pluto rules power, things that are hidden, and it rules Scorpio. So these are some of the words that wanted to come through as I was meditating again on that Rulership book. And I just turned to Scorpio when I was looking at all the words associated with Scorpio. And this is what was highlighted to me before this information. It was abscesses. And abscesses, I had to kind of look it up, and I said, what's an abscess? And an abscess, it actually has pus, bacteria, and debris, which also is what Scorpio rules as toxins. And then the word associated, because I like to do a play on words as well, abscess also can be tied into obsessed. So where do we have obsessive tendencies? Where do we have obsessive thought patterns, behaviors, addictions that we need to be looking at this time? Remember, this is going into the subterranean aspects of ourselves that we need to kind of look at that might actually have some toxic ramifications, because this is all what Scorpio rules now. This is the underworld, the underbelly of what's being called to look at, for us to be highlighted. The moon is like a big, huge light, like a light beam, and it's pointing for us to look at these things, right? So these are the things that we could be invited to explore within ourselves. Another word, of course, death, and the places where junk is stored. So the image was coming through too on how to navigate this energy, especially with Mars and Cancer involved. And there's, again, a flow happening, a nice, clear reflection that you can look at. What does your home look like? Are you starting over in your home space? Are you maybe recreating your home space? And do you need to look around your home to see where junk has piled up? The home could also be your body, your physical vessel, right? How do you house yourself? Is there a detox or a cleanse that possibly you can do? Well, we know that, and you can go and look this up online, which I found very fascinating. Parasites like to hatch during full moons, just like with turtles and their eggs, and during full moons, they like to go back to the ocean, right? There's certain things that hatch or that move during this time, during lunar phases. So during the lunar phase of the fullness of the moon, things in our body like to hatch, perhaps parasites. which could activate some toxins in the body, which maybe need to be looked at and to removed, just like possibly junk food, right? Things that are junk in the body that are toxic, that need to leave. Scorpio also rules elimination and the genital areas. So again, the lower parts of the body that maybe don't like to be looked at or are not looked at very often, these are the things that need to be highlighted right now. So just some practical application tools on how you can navigate the energy to remove these abscesses, these obsessive tendencies, where we hold junk in our home or physical body, our actual space, our environment. These are things, again, you could be looking at just to reflect, no judgment. Although I need to take that back, because that's one of the cards that did come up today, and the major arcana is judgment. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. So let me go back to also some of the words for Scorpio. This is an interesting point of reflection too that came in. What is your relationship to the word magic? So for a lot of us in this realm, we have either been raised in some sort of religion or religious exposure, or our culture is very spiritual in this realm, and we've been introduced to our spirituality, a lot of us, through religions, different types of religion. And I know for myself, when I first got introduced to occult knowledge, to the idea of God, a higher power, creator, whatever that is for you, I was also taught simultaneously to fear the word magic. That magic or magical practices is bad, only done, with other religions that were not good, right? If you're still playing in the realms of good and bad. So I know for me, magic, even though I really am gravitated towards magic, being a Scorpio, moon, sun, Mercury, magic has been fascinating for me. I've always, because of my programming, my ancestral lineages that were passed down, the behaviors that were passed down through religion, I was taught that magic is bad. To think about magic, to want to do magical practices, whatever that means for you, that was witchery, it was witchcraft. And so it was demonized. And so I'm actually right now in this retrograde part of the season right now, because we know that Mercury, our mind, Mercury rules the mind, our thoughts, communication, how we talk to ourselves, how we talk to others, is appearing to be going backwards. So we're going inward. We're reflecting upon our thoughts about what's in Taurus, money, values. What do we value? Where do we learn our value system? So where did you learn your relationship with money? Where did you learn your relationship with magic? And that rules Scorpio. And this is what's being come up to look at with this lunar, full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio. So these are just some of the elements that were coming in. So some questions to ask yourself. What is your relationship with the word magic? How does that feel in your nervous system when you are, oh, hi, Helen, I just saw you here. Sorry, I got distracted, but I'm glad you're here. Thank you for joining this conversation. What is your relationship with the word magic? How does the word magic feel in your nervous system? Do you feel a repression? Again, going back to how we think about the things in our lives, words, structures. These are just some of the associations that are coming in to be looked at, to be reflected upon during this time. Also, the words that came through in the Rulership Book. This is for somebody out there, whoever's watching this, whenever you choose to tune into this, if you choose to tune into it. Psychism or psychic development, things to do with the psyche. And again, ruling occult knowledge. It also has to do with our ability to have psychic connection to ourself and to source, right? And so again, what does that word psychic mean to you? Has it been demonized? Has it been crafted to mean something bad or not pure or not good or not of God, force, or creation, right? So these are just some of the elements to look at. And then some of the solutions, because I always ask my guides too, how can I best navigate these energies with grace and ease? What awarenesses do I need? What tools do I need? So in addition to the tools I've already shown you with the crystals, with my cards, I use essential oils as well. What also came through for Scorpio is wormwood, which I know is an anti-parasitic. So it helps get rid of parasites and things for the gut. So again, coming back to toxicity issues that we might be experiencing in the body or in the home, these are things to be reflected on. Also the stone malachite, which is a green stone that's got these really beautiful striations in them. And you can look it up online, malachite. These are some of the solutions that my guides, my inner guidance was showing me to work with or to navigate to help process these energies. I also, during full moons, really like to work with diatomaceous earth medicine, which is, they're like fossilized, old, million-year-old, it almost looks like white powder. And if you look at it in a microscope, they have these really pingy sort of, almost looks like a blowfish. And what it does is it can go in when you take it during certain times of the year, or the month rather, especially full moons. Again, parasites could be hatching during this time. So it actually goes and pierces the exoskeleton of these parasitic energies that might be in your digestive system. Also too, you just check your environment. Again, it's going back to cleaning the environment, cleaning as within, so without, as above, so below. So looking around your landscape around you to see what could be cleared, cleansed, what junk needs to be moved, things that maybe you've been looking at for months and months and months that you know need to be taken care of. This is the time to take action, because while Mars is in Cancer, Cancer rules the home. It also rules where we feel nurtured. And so this could be a form of nurturing yourself, is by taking these cleansing moments, these cleansing opportunities, and these awarenesses of what needs to be cleansed out. Because also, so some of the cards that came through, I'm going to kind of now change direction here and show you with the tarot cards what came through when I was asking about this energy. The first card that came through was the Star card. And if you look on the top, I'm not sure with Jewish symbolism, but I know that this deck works with Jewish symbolism, but I work with the symbolism astrology, so I know that that is Aquarius. So right now, and then the next card that came out was Judgment, which, okay, you can see the symbol here, that's Pluto. And Pluto is in the sign of Aquarius right now. So these are the two cards that represent the energy of the full moon. So you can see here, through my own gnosis and my connection to spirit, I asked, what are you showing me with in relation to Aquarius, right, in the star? And the Star card is always considered in the tarot as a major arcana, something very positive. It's almost as if, look, there's pouring light into the world. There's universal energy being poured in through the divine feminine, which is our own receptive ability to receive information, and that information is coming through the full spectrum through trust. You can see she's naked, so coming in with an open heart, with a spirit of vulnerability and light, right? So we are multidimensional beings, and look at the light spectrum. It's coming in, and there's white being poured, so coming to the feet, and Pisces is coming down into the plane. So there's energy, there's light, there's information that's being shared with us right now. Well, what does that information potentially look like? Well, with eclipses, historically our ancestors have seen eclipses as a very, it could be a very harsh energy, because there's usually some sort of transformation or some sort of loss, something that turns from one thing to another. And so in the perspective, we could say, oh, well, something died, something has to transform or go away to become something else. And so with the light that's coming onto the planet, again, this card here, that's the focus on the light that came in. The light is also coming in to show, what is this? Potentially our shadow aspects, things from the past, full illumination. It's coming through the portal, right? I'm seeing reconciliation, karma. There's also being able to see and witness things that are hidden, right? So there's light that's coming in to look at our shadow sides, our old aspects, and maybe the ways, what was being shown to me really strong is the way our ancestors did things that might not have been, how do I say this, kind, or maybe they did things in survival mode. So, I think about the archetype and the ancestry, what we heard about with the Aztecs, for example, right? That they used to sacrifice their children to their gods for certain things to invoke certain experiences, right? So could we somewhere be holding a collective wound if you have Aztec in your ancestry, for example? This is just an example that's coming up. So where are we right now having to reclaim and rectify the sins of our ancestors, whatever sin means, meaning the ways our ancestors did things that we're still paying for karmically, that we still have retribution for. So also with media, with things that are happening in media right now, what are we seeing? Pluto is also the governing bodies, its power. So where are we seeing possibly the sins of our forefathers, or the ways that people, the founders of our country, did things that we're still paying for, that we're not, I'm trying to refrain from using judgment words, but that we're not kind, that we're self-serving, that we're self-motivating because maybe they felt they needed to be in survival mode. Again, going back to the culture of the Aztecs, there were certain things done by that culture that we consider now, today, perhaps heinous, right? Sacrificing children to their gods for longevity or for whatever it is they wanted to bring in. So where did our founding fathers and mothers of this country do certain sacrifices that we're still paying for, that perhaps wounded the culture and that we're still feeling the effects from? So this is what's being looked at to be brought up into awareness, of course, as a collective energy, because Aquarius rules groups, organizations, it rules hopes, dreams, and wishes, but it also rules, humanity as a whole, right? With what we call collective consciousness. So where are we holding these wounds in our collective consciousness? But then also, where are we holding these wounds within our own families that we need to look at? So this could also be a time when I was tuning in to the energy of maybe some secrets from the families are being brought to light. Certain things, Scorpio also rules underworld stuff, sexuality, deep control. It rules, again, the shadow aspects of our nature. So there might be some reveals or some shock aha moments, because Aquarius is involved here, Uranus, which rules Aquarius, that might shock us. That, wow, I didn't know such and such, who I thought we were so close. I thought, this was happening, or I thought we were friends, or I thought that one thing about a situation or a person, and there might be a reveal or a light that something else might be coming in to be seen. So again, how to navigate this, how to navigate these energies, because these are dense energies and they can be challenging even to speak on. How do you speak on the energies of things that are uncomfortable to speak on? Well, this is what the challenge right now, going retrograde. And as I was also, tuning into the energy by retrograde, everything is about redoing, restructuring, reorganizing. And as I was, again, tuning into the energy of how to navigate, reuse, recycle, repurpose, going back to, now this is kind of changing gears, but how can you repurpose your energy? So Uranus and Taurus, this energy is also, because it's next to the sun and it's opposition energy, we're being forced to look at, how do we do things on this planet? How do we do things on the everyday? How do we take care of ourselves? And look at the energy that you already expend. But now it's time to repurpose that energy. It's time to revitalize it, to renew it, to do something else with that energy. So what does that look like? So in other words, say for example, you have a specific skill set, something you really like to do, you're really good at math, you really like numbers. And for the longest time, you're working for a corporation, big business, Pluto, right? You were working for somebody else. But now you want to take that skill set of being able to work with numbers and repurpose it and use it for your own business, right? Create your own auditing business or something to do with finance or something along those lines, changing it. So you take a skill set that you already have, you repurpose and you reuse it, and you use it for something else that's what? More valuable to you, something that is more impassions you, enlivens you, invokes your creativity. The sun in Taurus makes you feel grounded, that you really value, because your value systems might be changing. Now that these things are coming up to be looked at, there might be situations that revamp your whole way of seeing this planet, how you want to be on this planet, your relationship to the people, places, and things on this planet are changing. So after you're detoxifying, after you're realizing, okay, I need to kind of clean up my energy, I need to clean up my environment, what do you want to pour into it? What do you want to bring in? Because this is also, eclipses take things away, but the universe doesn't like a vacuum. So you've got to also have a game plan, some structure. This is also Saturn and Pisces giving structure to your dreams and taking grounded action approaches to that which is in your highest fantastical Neptunian dreams, right? So this is the time to, it's almost like a junk removal. I imagine what's coming in now is just like, if you were, let's say you were a hoarder, for example, right? Whether you're hoarding thoughts, people, situations, things in your home, and your house is just overridden, it's toxic, it's full of things that need to go. This is the time to call in your guides, your inner guidance system. If you work with angels, whatever your belief system is, if you want to work with those aspects outside of yourself, invoke them in to work with these energies to help you remove the junk, to help you remove whatever it is you're hoarding, and so that you can clear that space, but also be clear about what you want to refill that space with. Do you want a life more of minimalism, where you don't want to necessarily refill that space with junk or things or beliefs or people? Maybe you want to leave that space clear and open. But remember, it's kind of like a balloon. You've already expanded that space out. So you've left a vacuum that much. You want to pour into it to refill that space. So you want to choose that wisely and move and gravitate to more of what you love. Fill that space of what you love and what you value, Taurus. You know, we've got Venus right now in Gemini. So Venus is loving information. Venus is loving learning new things and how to do things, right? So fill up your cup after that junk removal, after that sort of hoarding has taken out all that stuff that's no longer needed or wanted. Now you can focus on pouring back into yourself and pouring in and filling up around you that which you love, which you value now, and what's more conducive to the planet now. Maybe not the way our ancestors did things, which may have created a big imbalance and wounds based on the consciousness level that they have. There is no right or wrong. It's just what happened and that we need to forgive. And this is another part of alchemy and medicine that we can use, is the tool of forgiveness. To forgive, first of all, ourselves for calling in this experience, for calling in, forgive our ancestors, the old version of ourselves that needed to do what they needed to do to survive. But we're not in that survival mode right now. We have enough resources on this planet. We have the technology. We have the ability to generate free energy. If we can just release that energy from within ourselves so that we can see it outside of ourselves. Renewable, sustainable, new ways to generate energy, because we are energy beings. We are the technology, right? So as we start invoking these technologies within us and bringing them out to repurpose, to renew, to reuse through our gifts, through our energy, how we use our energy. So taking old skill sets and repurposing them to something that you love and that you want. Do you want to see more of? That's also a way to utilize or reflect upon the energy and maybe take some inspired action. Because after, we have these big aha moments, these big reveals about things that maybe have not been heart-centered, have not been for our highest and best, that have been corrupted, like a corrupted file. it's time to replace that. There's a big cleansing happening. And another card that came through, because I always like to work with threes, right? There's power in numbers and numerology, and that's a whole nother reflection on frequency and energy. But a reflection that came through was also the Page of Cups. So the page usually denotes the messenger, and cups is the heart. So after, the star card, more light coming in, Pluto, there might be some judgment about reflections of the past, what our ancestors did, awarenesses about what's going on in the underbelly, the underworld, things that are happening, perhaps that we never saw before, that we need to see, we need to look at, and we need to find forgiveness for. Just like the Aztecs, the ancestry of the Aztecs and sacrifice and things about nature, that same story is coming along. Now we're going to be giving information on, basically information from what? The heart. Cups is heart space. It's our love. So tuning into the heart, what messages are you receiving from your ancestors in a way? How are they also showing you, in other words, yes, this is what we did to survive in our belief system and our religion and our practices. And we're sorry we didn't know to do any better, but now we know to do better. And actually, we're here for you. So connecting to the spirit world, connecting to your ancestors, because they also have the gifts of reclamation, the wisdom of, wow, this is what we did, but this is now that I'm on the other side. Now I'm in a different dimensional realm, because that's also what Scorpio deals with, is death and our perception of death and our relationship to death. And for those of us who don't believe in death the way it's been taught in this realm, that death is just transformation. It's a transformation of energy. So really our ancestors, they went from this human physical form into another realm and another form, but they're still here. Energetically, we're bioelectrical beings. So they're in an electrical realm that we can tap into through meditation, through connection to spirit, through intention, really intending to connect. Because I've been told, and I feel as well also from my ancestors, that they also have tools and knowledge to help navigate and to help repair maybe any kind of karmic things they've done in the past. They also have the solutions if we just tuned in and learn to listen and to meditate and to breathe and to do all the spiritual practices to connect us to those aspects of self that, yes, we have the problems, but we also have the solutions. If we can settle the mind, if we can connect to our spirits and our hearts, we have messages from our hearts. We have messages being given by our ancestors if we learn to listen. So these are just some reflection points. Again, there's a lot of different things that I wrote. I mean, I'm talking pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of stuff. But these are just some of the things that were highlighted coming in this now moment. There's actually a quote that I wrote down, which is kind of funny. Consistency of mind, focus gives consistency of play moments. So this is also a time to really come into the ability to focus, because a lot of us, that's the thing with technology. There's always a positive and a negative effect with anything we work with. So while technology has also made us faster, they make things more exponential, make things easier to hold on to, it also, the side effect is the attention span. So a way to kind of counterbalance that, what I'm finding, is actually to get into the practices of reading. So taking a book and actually reading a full book, committing time, Saturn, to reading and reestablishing the dopamine levels in your head. This is all Taurus physical. So again, learning how to take care of the physical vessel, learning about your hormones, learning about your systems, how things work, operate, the things you're ingesting, putting into your body. Again, Pluto's ruling toxicity. Where are you keeping toxic thoughts? Where do you need to cleanse your body? Where do you need to make room where you maybe hoarded these certain things within your vessel and your environment, that it's time to release, it's time to purge, it's time to get rid of it. Pluto is here to assist us. And if we can learn to stay in our hearts, find forgiveness, take these maybe shocking revelations about our ancestors, people in our family, ourselves, that we've been hiding in the unconscious realms, the shadow aspects of ourselves, because we all have them. None of us If we're here on this planet right now, then we're dealing with the shit. It's just the way it is. It's just, how do we deal with it? How? And so the intention is, by sharing this information through me, I consider myself like a radio. I'm just playing the notes in the universe the way the divine wants to play through me, through my own voice, towards my own voice box, my willingness to be brave, to step in, to share my voice. And this is also an invitation for all of you as you're learning to repurpose your energy. Repurpose it to the things you love to do, the ways you love to connect, the ways you love to speak about yourself and others. Again, this is the retrograde period of repurposing, recycling, restructuring, redoing, everything going back to the re is what's going to bring the highest and best outcome moving forward, which is Aquarius, which is what we're moving towards. So anyway, these are just some reflection points. Again, thank you for being with me in this kind of longer energy report, but this is just some of the stuff that I was channeled, that I was tuning into, and I hope you found some pointers, some navigational tools, some perspectives to just help you understand the energy within yourself just a little more clearly. Because as we be better, as we think better, we do better, we act better, and we're better for the people around us, the people we love, for ourselves. And so this is the intention, and share this information. And again, thank you for tuning in to Live Zen. Thank you for doing your work. This is the shadow work time. This is the way to be courageous, to step into what it is you're seeing about yourself that you maybe don't like, what maybe some of the reflections you're seeing about your ancestors you don't like, and find forgiveness and find some tools on how to navigate that. And this is not an easy transit. This is not an easy eclipse energy, but it's necessary. This is the medicine we need right now, is truth. Not brutal truth, but truth with tools on how to alchemize ourselves as this information is coming through. So thank you for watching. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and good luck on this eclipse energy. Please meditate. Please do something grounding for yourself. Because it's in Taurus, because it's Scorpio, alchemize. I like to work with fire. So I like to go burn something, maybe write down all the things that maybe were coming up to be seen, to look at, and then just put it into fire. That could be alchemy. That could be the transformation. That could be magic, turning one thing into another. And that could be another way to navigate this energy as well. So, all right, guys, I love you. And blessings to you. Bye. Grounded in the stars and elevated by consciousness. Thank you for tuning in.